3, 2, 1.
My talk title is Unchain the Melody. And let me start with a quote. This is from a gentleman named Pierre Schaeffer, who was a French composer and musicologist. And he wrote, "Sound is the vocabulary of nature." Sound is the vocabulary of nature. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a trained singer or not. Each of us has a voice. Each of us has a song inside of them. It's like when you're singing in the shower and you know, or you think you know, no one else is in the house, and you just go wild and sing full out. That's you singing your nature, voicing your nature. It's that use of your whole body voice that really is what is expressing the divine in you. That's what works your mind and your consciousness when you're singing out loud with abandon. It enhances your declarations and revelation. It enhances the power of your manifestations. It assesses and empowers your authentic self, your authentic voice. And that's what we want to do, especially when we're working on manifesting something new in our lives. Your voice is part of your spiritual self. The vibration, the tonalities you use, the frequencies of pitches that come out of you, the feelings that are expressed because of these tonalities and these pitches, all that is spoken and vibrated, which singing is just vibrated speaking. They're all expressing, whether you do it out loud or you just hear it inside, you're just vocalizing the spirit that is within you. When you speak, remember God speaks. When anybody speaks, God speaks. So why not do it on purpose? That's what I'm talking about today, doing it on purpose. Sound is a vibration, a frequency of waves and energy. Now we're going to get a little scientific here. Sound is a vibration, a frequency of waves and energy, okay? Probably learned this in junior high or high school science. It moves molecules. And molecules are just a group of atoms bonded together by protons, neutrons, and electrons. Remember, everybody remember that? But that is the essence of matter. And what are we doing when we're doing our spiritual work, when we're praying or whatever you want to call it, doing our spiritual mind treatment? We are moving energy. We are creating, bringing into our lives a new set of matter. And the essence of matter is, everything's the essence of matter. Your body's matter, your money's matter, this chair is matter, your thoughts, your beliefs, the whole universe is just matter moving around, energy moving around. And sound, when we create sound, that becomes a nutrient, not only for ourselves, our healing. Don't you feel great? Of course, the shower helps, but don't you feel great when you're you can do this in your car too. When you're in your car, you're in the shower and you think you're alone and nobody hears you and you just sing out loud. Don't you feel great? Even if it's a sad song, it just moves something in you. Whispering, sighing, laughing, even yawning moves a feeling, an energy within you. And then you release that energy, and by releasing that energy, you inform and thus affect the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the law of correspondence, as well as your brain, your mind, your consciousness, your belief system, and thus, like I said, the law of cause and effect, which then brings that feeling, brings that experience into your life, into that 3D reality of your life. When we are in touch with that, when we use that in our spiritual mind treatment or our spiritual practice of any kind, We are tapping into our authentic being. We are tapping into our God self, our highest self. And I think that's a tool that we tend to forget because we tend to think of prayer or the work that we do to manifest something new into our lives, to break through, soar, and zoom something into our lives as something that is very serious. That's why I keep saying now and again, serious fun is what we're doing. It should be fun. You should have a good time. Even if you're focusing on something that is going to turn away from a negative condition, you should have fun with creating. You should have fun with and enjoy the act of co-creating with the universe that something new in your life. Now, there really isn't a secret chord like it says in the song or in the Bible. For those who have read about that story in the Bible, there's no secret chord for special folk. It's your secret code. It's your special code. That's the only thing that is special, is that it's an individual to you, as you are individual, and individualization of the universe, of the power of the divine. And what you're doing is not something to please the Lord, as it says in the song Hallelujah, as it talks about, as many religions teach. That's not what we teach. That's not what we're here about. What pleases the Lord, if you want to use that terminology, is you using your powers that the universe gave you to bring forth into your life something new and something great. We're here to tune in with the universe, using our words, our tones, our sounds, our pitches, our frequencies that equal to the feelings that speak and express and illustrate that next adventure that you want to bring into your life. Because in doing that, then the universe really hears the law, really hears exactly what it is you're describing. It's not wishy-washy, because those feelings that you're feeling because you're using certain sounds and pitches and tones that affect you, bring the clarity of the picture that you want to experience. And then the law goes, oh yeah, okay, great, I hear it. It's not just the words, it's the feelings behind the words. Like when I write the affirmative incantations, I use words to try to elicit feelings and ideas and visualizations. Now, when we do it the first time here on a Sunday, you may not quite feel that, even if we have the card and it's easier to read and it doesn't get silly and fun about it. Later on, as you're using it during the week, you'll start to realize, oh my gosh, this is why these words are here. You know, these things, they come to me through spirit, yes, and they have something to do with the theme of the month, yes, but in the rewrites is where I go, now this word makes this move more forward. This word makes me feel this way, and I trust will make people feel that way too. That's also why I tell you, if you're reading it throughout the week and there's a word there and you go, well, I would use this word, especially if it's an adjective and an adverb, then change it. Get a pen, if you have the card, scratch it out and change it, because it's the words that move you that's more important than the words that I wrote for you. There's a whole lot of world of music and sound therapy out there, and they use certain frequencies or levels of hertz, as it's called, to influence your brain and your heart and your mind and your body. And you can use these frequencies as background during your spiritual practice, or sometimes I'll put some of these sounds in the background when I'm writing. And after a while, I don't even hear them. They just become like the white noise of nature, you know, in my house. But they will enhance your brain function, your thoughts and beliefs, and thus your life. And I want to give you a few illustrations, and I won't go through all of them as illustrations, but I want to, oh good, thank you. I want to do a few of them. Now, the prescription is usually to use these for 30 minutes at least. And here I'm going to describe 7 of them, but we won't listen to all 7. So the first one is 396 hertz. And 396 hertz is known to turn grief into joy and a very strong natural antidepressant. And excuse me 1 second. Let's see that far away. Or that close, sort of far away. So here's 396. Now, sometimes you can't hear the difference, and you'll see because I'm only going to do a couple of examples. And there's always some sort of music or bell behind it, but it's the frequency, it's the vibration. Let's listen for 1 second. So that's one example. Then I want to do the 528, which is considered the natural frequency. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the 417. The 417 cleanses traumatic experiences, calms anxiousness, and facilitates healing. I want to give you an example of that. And this is 417 hertz. Now you listen to this and you think, what? How's that going to turn my grief into joy and calm my anxiousness? But again, you have to let it sit in the background, or maybe if you're meditating, put this on. And this is just one company. There are a lot of different places. You can go on YouTube, and actually some of the other music places have these, and find your own version. Okay, so that was 417. Now I want to play one more, and then I'll describe a few others. 528, like I said, is the natural frequency of the earth, which nature vibrates, and it is said repairs DNA. Many times they use this when somebody's doing procedures. So the 528 hertz has a higher feeling. It kind of feels uplifting, even in 10 seconds of listening to it. There's also 639 hertz, which is considered the love frequency. Brings people together, enhances communication and understanding. 741 hertz, which helps release toxins, negativity, anger, and jealousy, and boosts your immune system. Now, the interesting thing about the 741 is that it's also the frequency, they call it the frequency of the throat chakra, the energy center in your throat, in your speech as well. And it is considered the chakra of truth. So find that one if you feel like you've been lying to yourself a little too much. 852 hertz manifests a stronger spiritual state. So that's probably a good one, especially if you don't feel like doing your spiritual practice. We'll put that on for a little bit, and that might help you get into it. It helps you stop overthinking or worrying. And then there's one more I want to play you, and that is 963 hertz. 963 hertz has 2 titles. It is the pineal gland activator, but it's also considered the frequency of the universe. Some say the frequency of God. It helps heal and empower your inner child, restoring your authentic self. And as I said in the original title of it, it helps activate your pineal gland. And I want to let you hear a little bit of that one. Kind of opens you up a little bit. Again, these aren't things necessarily that you sit and listen to, but just have as awareness, sort of like, I'll give you a minute, second. Sort of like when you you spray or use essential oils to aerate your room or your home. After a while, you don't necessarily smell the lavender anymore. It's just there, but it's still having an effect on you. That's what these sounds are helpful for. So I also want to talk a little bit about the pineal gland. The pineal gland is something you might have heard about. It's located around the center of your brain between the two hemispheres. And its main function is to release melatonin to regulate your circadian rhythms, your sleep cycle. It helps, it realizes, I presume, through your eyes or through other senses of light and dark. And through that light and dark, then it decides if it's going to release melatonin and say, bedtime time or time to take a nap. It also connects you to the third eye, the eye which we see through that, like Meister Eckhart's quote there, the same eye that God sees through. Now, people have been talking about the pineal gland for a long time. Descartes, hundreds of years ago, millennium or two, 3 or 4 ago, called it the seat of the soul and said the body and spirit not only meet there, but each affects the other and the repercussion extends in both directions. I'm not going to go too much more into that gland. You can read Dr. Joe Dispenza. He writes a lot about that, and he uses similar activators as this hurts in his meditations. And if you've ever heard his meditations, his vocalizations in them are really wild. He really uses his voice and the changes in tone and pitch, and he's not always saying words. Sometimes he's just using vowels. Einstein wrote, "We are slowed down sound and light waves." Let me say that again. We are slowed down sound and light waves, a walking bundle of frequencies tuned into the cosmos. We are souls dressed up in sacred biochemical garments, and our bodies are the instruments through which our souls play their music. Einstein, science and spirituality coming together, saying, hey, hi. And actually, in the pineal gland, I read this, took a while because it was a very scientific article talking about that scientists are starting to realize and be able to detect a spirituality that's going on through the pineal gland, and they are using the pineal gland and its powers to affect other types of healing. And there's a whole medical practice that does that. It's called, I can't remember what it's called, chronomedicine it's called. Anyway, here's something. Did you ever watch a 2 or 3-year-old or even an infant listen to music? Especially an infant who's not been taught to dance. A 2 or 3-year-old might have seen you dance or seen it on TV by then. But infants, they instantly start moving. Why? I know it's cute and adorable, but they're doing it because we automatically, it's in our DNA, respond to sound. And so using that for ourselves to have the law respond correctly, meaning correctly how we would like the law to respond, so that it brings into our life exactly what we, or better, of what we were thinking about. I think that's one of the possibly the missing pieces for many of us. We get so serious and monotone about our use of words and sounds in our spiritual practice. Chanting also, many people chant, and that's musicalized vibration. If you've read Wayne Dyer at all or listened to any of his talks or meditations, he's been into chanting a long time. He used chanting, the Om sound, of course, the Ah sound, Arakara is a mantra that some people will repeat over and over again. What I do a lot of times, especially if I can't get into my spiritual practice, I do the God is, I am thing. And it calms me down, calms that anxiety that it stops my mind from just, and it slows me down. Just doing that. God is, I am. Sometimes if I can't fall asleep because I've done that dumb thing, which is watch something on my iPad right before I'm supposed to go to sleep, even reading on your iPad, just because of this blue light thing, I have to get my mind quiet. And that helps me. So a chanting is another tool we can use that elicits feelings by the use of sounds in various tones. So when we're speaking, when we're using various tones, remember that when you're speaking and using various tones to people that, like now, I'm getting excited, and so my voice register is risen, and because my voice register is risen, you may pay attention to me for a little longer, or for a second, if you've turned away from listening to me, just because you're like, what's going on? What's up with that? You do that for yourself and watch things change. Feelings are energetic vibrations. So if we want to get in touch with our feelings, if we want to use our feelings, which is paramount in manifesting, then we want to get in touch with the use of words and sounds. There's a woman named Barbara Marciniak, and she wrote, everything changes when you start to admit your own frequency rather than absorbing the frequencies around you. When you start imprinting your intent on the universe rather than receiving an imprint from existence. So again, like I said, our month's theme is release it. And release it could mean let it go, doesn't affect you anymore, the pain, the suffering, trauma from the past. Just let it go. Or let it go so it does affect you. Release it is two different things. You can release it by, I don't want this in my life anymore. You can release it by, I have this power and I'm going to awaken to it and let it do its thing. And when we do either of those, we are bringing in the power and the presence intentionally to use in our lives. So find the words, not only the words that inspire you, but the sounds that inspire you, the rhythms, the tonations that inspire you. Like the word hallelujah, you may notice I bring that back now and again, not the song necessarily, but the word hallelujah at the end of a spiritual mind treatment, because what is the word hallelujah? It's kind of got lost in religiosity. But the meaning of the word, because it comes from the Hebrew, is hallelujah is joyous songs of praise, and Yah is kind of an abbreviation of Yahweh, which in the Holy Scriptures and the way people spoke back in the ancient times it means God. So you're singing praises of God, of the God in you. That's what you do when you say hallelujah. It's an invocation, it's an instruction, it's an invitation. And we want to do that. We want to bring God-powered songs into our lives so that the law hears them, reads them, and brings into our lives that which we want. So unchain your melody. Unchain your melody to suit your thought, your intention, your feeling, and thus your experience, because each of us are the gospel of our manifestations. And if we use the full throttle of our voice, and it doesn't have to be out loud, it can be in your head. You're still hearing different intonations in your head. Use more than words. Use inflection, tone, rhythm, pitch, and watch yourself manifest your best more easily, more thoroughly, and more quickly. Thank you so much. Namaste.